And they're like, well, what do you think you should do? And I'm like, well, I think I should get out of bartending, get another job, and go to daily meetings in Burlington. And they're like, what do you think about going to a long-term like rehab place? And I'm like, I think I should go to those places. I'm like, I think I need to go there. And I was like, it was relief, like being honest with them and telling them, and them being supportive and wanting to help was the complete opposite of how I thought it would go in my head all those years that I thought about, if I tell them this, I won't have access to my nieces or nephews. My family's going to abandon me. My mom's sister died of alcoholism and people talk shit about her. So they're going to talk shit about me and I'm going to be out of the family. And it was the complete opposite, complete opposite.
Hi there. Welcome back, or welcome to Recovering Out Loud podcast, the show where we get real about mental health and addiction. I'm so glad you're here. If you or someone you love is struggling with drugs or alcohol, please reach out for help. Send me a message on all social media platforms at Recovering Out Loud Pod, or by email at recoveringoutloudpod@gmail.com. You are no longer alone. Getting used to this. This is nice.
There we go.
Yeah, this
Nice
is good.
Intimate setting here.
Patrick, thanks so much for coming down, brother. I appreciate you. We met on that beautiful retreat, Language of the Heart, that Mary was on as well, and Bo, who's coming on here later. What was that like for you, that experience? Have you ever been on anything like that? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so it was different than I thought it was going to be. When I first signed up for it, I thought it was a all male retreat.
Oh,
and then I found out that it was co-ed, which is totally fine. And it was more fun than I thought.
Yeah.
Like I really thought it would be
like it sounds.
Yeah, like intensive, almost
people,
like really deep dive. But it was those things, like there was that opportunity, but then the social aspect, I've never been to any event in recovery that is like fun. Like I'm new to recovery. So it was my first time like going and like doing karaoke and just going to a pool party. So those things were different than I thought and a lot of fun.
Yeah, they made it really comfortable too. I mean, there's a lot of firsts in recovery, right? And I'm sure you're familiar with this. You're 10 months along now.
Yeah,
that's
just
good,
over
man.
10.
Congrats, bro.
Yeah.
That's huge. Is this your longest you've ever been sober?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You were like a 10-minute guy before, like me, scraping together 10 minutes here and there.
Yeah, pretty much was using every day for 25 years. I had one stretch where I went like 4 weeks. That was my longest time without using anything.
And probably white knuckling it the whole way.
I flew to Portugal to get away from everything and went to the smallest island to make sure that I didn't have any contacts and didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was like, I don't want to use anymore. But as soon as I came back,
there it is.
4 days later, back into it.
Yeah. Addiction's a funny thing, right? But it was really comfortable. And so there's a lot of firsts in recovery. First wedding, sober, like first, bonfire, really, even though there was no bonfire because of the stupid fire restriction. I'm still upset about that, but it's okay. We sat around in a circle, and I mean, like there's a lot of times in my life where that was filled with drinking and drugs, was sitting in that circle outside in the, cottage country, whatever. And I'll tell you, stimulants and fire pits, like fire in cottages, stimulants and cottages don't mix very well at all.
Oh no.
It's like the worst drug to pair with, people are smoking weed and drinking and you're just fucking in your chair, just jittering.
Oh my God.
Jittery.
Yeah. I've had some memorable campfires for sure, where, it's just amazing that no one died.
Yeah.
We had like a grad trip in high school. These girls stole a tractor tire. That was what we used for our fire ring.
Oh.
The fire got massive with a tractor tire being the outside ring, and people are jumping over it. We're throwing cans of things into the fire pit.
I'm assuming gasoline was involved.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I remember one like something got thrown in the fire, it exploded. I got hit in the ear and I thought my ear was like gone.
Mm.
And my buddy used a flashlight. He's like, it's beans. Someone threw a can of beans in and it
Just smoked you, right?
smoked my ear. And I
Holy
thought I
shit.
was on a lot of substances and, yeah, just playing with fire, literally the metaphor. Like I played with fire for so long. But at cottages, yeah, it was always just grab the cooler, set up shop, and a lot of times pass out, at the fire.
Yeah, everyone stops and we keep going, right?
Oh yeah.
That was the story of my life. So I want to get into a little bit about your story and what brought you into recovery, but why don't you tell us about like what childhood was like for you?
All right. Yeah. I grew up in a really good family. I'm the youngest of 4 kids. And being the youngest, I was very like insecure kind of from the start. My older siblings are fantastic, but like any kid growing up, you pick on the youngest one, So a lot of feelings of like, I'm not going to be smart enough to ever learn how to write an essay. I'm really young. So, when I get to be like 30, my parents will be 70. Oh my God, they'll be dead. Like just a lot of black and white thinking and distorted thinking where I grew up, really insecure and really not confident in myself. So I learned kind of at an early age to wear masks. Like I started to do, impersonations of actors and try to get a laugh out of people because that's kind of the only way that I felt accepted was like by not being myself kind of. But I grew up in a good family. I played sports, was involved in music, like was in swimming. Like basically how I could describe it is during the day, I was filled by doing activities and things. And then when it came to nighttime, as far as I can remember, whenever it was time to go to bed, I'd be in my bed replaying the day and overthinking about this person. Oh, I shouldn't have said this because now they don't like me. Or, oh, tomorrow I've got to do this and I'm not going to be smart enough to do it. So for me, like bedtime was always the worst.
Interesting. Like ever since you can remember, just
from
anxiety.
literally when I was like, I can remember being like from 4 years old till, adulthood. Bedtime was when I would be up for hours, just worrying, just constant
Pure
worry
anxiety,
and fear about what the next day will bring, what happened that day. Oh my God, they don't like me. I shouldn't have said that, and just like trying to rewrite the script about, okay, how can I do this or what can I do to fix this? So like, yeah, I would be awake for hours and that was
just ruminate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that the reason that you turned to drugs and alcohol, like to quiet that noise, would you say?
I'd say like I always wanted validation. So I wanted to like find my way to the popular crowd, right? And in high school, like in grade 9, that was my way into the popular crowd. My parents went away on a 3-week vacation. So my sister and I threw a 3-week party.
Oh, wow.
And that was when the popular kids came to hang out with me because I had a place for them to come. And that's when I started doing drugs and alcohol. And it was like okay, I'm in. Like I'm in with these guys now. So I want to keep this going. And I find like with weed, which was like my higher power for 25 years, like that always remained. Other things came in and out, but weed was like, I can now like go to bed. So like, it would ease my way of anxiety and things like that. That was kind of like my wake up, do that. Okay, I can go to do this now. It was kind of like I had to smoke weed before doing anything. And then at the end of the night, like smoke till you passed out kind of thing. Like I still would be worried, but you just consume so much that was my answer.
Yeah.
Alcohol was like the social party thing to do, but weed became my dependent in high school. Yeah.
And so at what moment did you realize that it was getting really bad? Like when you first realized that this was a problem?
I'd say probably like, okay, we'd go out like on a Saturday night or whatever, and we'd go to a party or a house party or whatever, and then you get home at like whatever. I'd probably be home at like 1 in the morning at that time, or 12, and I'd get home and I'd go on to like MSN Messenger. Remember that?
Yeah,
Like
oh yeah.
that was before Instagram and everything. There
Everyone
was
had a cool
MSN
email.
Messenger,
Yeah.
and my one buddy was like a dealer, and I'd always message him being like, "Can I come over?" And I needed to keep it going. So that was like mid high school, but I didn't really have any awareness that it was a serious problem. I just was like, this is what I need. I can't like be at home. I need to keep the party going. It's probably not until till I like was introduced to cocaine that was kind of when I saw that like, okay, my personality is very addictive and this thing is really getting me into trouble. I kind of got by through high school and like was on sports teams and did okay in school. So it didn't really hit me that it was affecting me that much during the high school years. It was kind of like when I was introduced to cocaine and how that took over my life pretty quickly. And, you know, yeah, I can get into that too. I don't know
Well, I
if you
mean,
want-
yeah, like,
sorry.
what was your first experience? Was it the same thing? Like, people had it and you wanted to fit in? Because that was me too. My experience was the same thing. It was at a party, and I had stayed away from it for a while because it scared the shit out of me. Right? Like, that was like the one thing I was never gonna do. I got into alcohol. I got into weed. I didn't really like weed. I would always green out. I was that guy. I would always, it never really agreed with me. But I remember being at a party one time, and a guy had known that some people were doing it, and it was just right in the open. Like they had it on a CD case, and they basically were like, I don't want to say they forced me, but it felt forced in that moment. But I also wanted to do it and to fit in, and because everyone else was doing it, and I wasn't excited about the outcome. You know what I mean? It was more so, yeah, to like appease my friends, and also this is here now, and peer pressure and whatever, right? What was that like for you, that first experience?
Yeah, I was in university, and my like guys I hung out with all the time, I knew that they had started to do it, but it was something growing up like yourself. Like I was like, I'll never do that.
Yeah.
Like that was like, there's no way I'm going to do that. That will kill me, whereas weed and alcohol, I was like, okay, well, everyone seems to be,
Right.
well, not everyone, but a lot of people seem to be doing this, and I wasn't that scared of it. But yeah, like it just came about. We went to the bar, and then afterwards they were like, want to come with us? And I was in residence at Guelph, and they went down to like the basement of the res, and were like, you want to go lift some weights was the code word. I want to go to the weight room. And they would, and I went and I joined them because I honestly I'm like, well, they didn't die, and they can stay up later now. And just, I was blind to the like, I was just like, yeah, I'm doing it. And once I did it the first time, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, that was my
like
experience
it was
too.
like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so for that year at Guelph, the 1 year I did it, and it was probably for about a year and a half when I was like 19 to 20. And then a good friend of mine got on my case about it. I like basically flunked out of Guelph. I never went to school.
Yeah,
I was just doing partying, like full-time party, almost got kicked out of res, like could have gone back on probation, but once my parents actually found out about my grades, like, we're getting you out of there. So I think I did it a couple of times after that year, but by the next Christmas, a good friend of mine was like, well, I'm worried about you. This isn't like, why do you need to be doing this? And I'm like, I really fucked up that year. So I stopped doing any hard drug from that point when I was like 21, and stayed away from cocaine until I was 33.
Oh, wow.
I went 12 years without doing hard drugs and just went back to weed and alcohol, which caused me a lot of problems, which I can get into too. But I had, for whatever reason, was able to stop doing the hard stuff for a while.
Yeah. And then it ultimately came back. But no, I think I do want to get into it because there's this thing around weed that it gets classed with alcohol now, where it's like, I'm not going to ruin my life. It's not that bad. It's legal, right? All these things. I had another guy on the podcast here that it nearly burned his life to the ground, right? Like he really struggled. He couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? It took away all his motivation, his drive, his personality, to your point. So I think it's important to like, what did those years look like while you were doing that? Like, what was the progression like?
Yeah. So I left Guelph and then went to Mohawk College and, like got involved in athletics again and things like that. But like I told you, like I needed to smoke weed as soon as I woke up, in between every class. If I didn't have it, I couldn't focus on
Yeah.
anything. Like there was no way I could go without it. And if I was running low, then I was going to do everything I could, call every dealer I could. This is before it was legalized, right? Like, so the obsession of my mind was purely focused on having it and making sure I had enough, and, stealing money from my parents if I had to, selling stuff, everything kind of revolved around it. Then I started dealing it because I'm like, okay, if I start to grab it, then I can sell to all my friends and I can smoke for free. Well, you end up just
Doing your whole stash,
just smoking it and having to pay for it yourself, But I got through. I don't know, weed. I really was like Bob Marley, Rasta man, like peace and happiness, and I thought that would be okay for me. So the alcohol was when I got into more problems with police and problems, blacking out, and more things came with the alcohol. The weed was just like the necessity, had to have it. If I didn't have it, then I would be only one track mind thinking about it. And if I didn't have it, I was a miserable, angry, irritable person. But it was like, how they say it's like a slow progression. I found that weed, like in my head, was the answer for a really long time. And I didn't think anything was wrong. I really didn't think anything was wrong with it till I came into recovery and realized how it was like my entire life revolves around substance. Yeah.
And so what was the moment like? Can you walk us through like what ultimately took you down to your last drink or drug?
Yeah, for sure. The last 6 years were basically like, I always wanted like a girl, and then the last girl that I seriously dated broke up with me, and at that point I basically sold my soul to the devil, is what I would say. Like anything that was like, I'll never do that, I was just like, I'm doing it because fuck everyone, and I got out of I used to work in mental health. I got out of that career. I started bartending. I moved to Honduras and started scuba diving. And that's when I picked up doing coke again, was when I went to Honduras, and that was right before COVID. I was doing, on this small island, all backpackers. They're all like 18 to 24. I'm 36, being like, sweet, right back in it, and, that's when it kind of just took over. COVID shut the island down. I moved back home, and from COVID, it was like, okay, now I can isolate and use drugs. And pretty much from COVID till last October, that was what I did. I isolated and was doing coke, and I'd bartend. And then last year in August, I went to Portugal to try and get off of it, because my life, I was in debt and wasn't going to work and living at my parents' house and lying to them, lying to everyone. I'm like, I need to stop this, because I'm literally my life I have no life. So I went to Portugal, did 4 weeks where I was clean with no solution, no recovery plan, just white knuckle it, go somewhere that's beautiful to distract yourself.
Geological cure, right?
Yeah.
Geographical cure.
Yeah. And then I came back from there, and within 4 days I was grabbing. And then that last 14 months, the progression of how much I was grabbing, knowing I didn't want to be doing it. I'm like, I don't want to do it. Wake up in the morning, I'm not doing it. By 2:00, I got a bag, and I've called off work, and I'm in my parents' basement, but I have to lie to them to say I am going to work. So then I'm driving parking lot to parking lot till I get paranoid. selling my clothes out of the back of my car so that I have enough money to grab a bag, and then my dad had a stroke last September, and he's in the hospital, and I'm like, I need to like be there, but I'm too much of a coward to tell any of my family members that I don't have a job. And I've got 3 older siblings. So I'd go do the hospital stuff, and I'd always go by myself so I could do some lines in the bathroom while he's sitting there. And I'm like, have numbness in my left arm. And I'm like, I wonder who's going to go first, him or me, And I'm lying saying I'm going to work. So my siblings are driving in from Pickering or Toronto to come see my dad in Burlington. And then one night, my mom and my brother went to the hospital to see my dad. I said I was working. They went to my restaurant after they visited. Ooh. And the manager goes, "Oh, Pat, he hasn't worked here for a couple months." And my brother messaged me, and I'm in a parking lot by myself, high out of my mind, and I see the message, and I'm like, I give up. I'm exhausted. I have nothing left. I can't go on like this. How am I can't lie my way out of this anymore. And in my head, I'm like, I can't be honest because I can't let them down, because I need to be there for my dad while he's in the hospital. This is like the only time in our life where I really need to be there for someone. I'm like, but I can't stop. Mm. And so I had to come clean. And I told my siblings and my mom, I go, I've been trying to I'm addicted to a substance. I've been trying to get off of it by myself for a few years, and I really can't, and I really need help. And they all supported me. The next day, my brother and 2 sisters came down, took me to dinner, and my sister had been on the phone lines with addiction centers all day. And she's just like, "What are you using? How often are you using it? How much money are you in debt?" And I was like, answering all of these things. Wow. And they're like, "Well, what do you think you should do?" And I'm like, well, I think I should get out of bartending, get another job, and go to daily meetings in Burlington. And they're like, "What do you think about going to a long-term like rehab place?" And I'm like, I think I should go to those places. I'm like, I think I need to go there. I was like, it was relief, like being honest with them and telling them, and them being supportive and wanting to help was the complete opposite of how I thought it would go in my head all those years that I thought about, if I tell them this, I won't have access to my nieces or nephews. My family's going to abandon me. My mom's sister died of alcoholism, and people talk shit about her. So they're going to talk shit about me, and I'm going to be out of the family. And it was the complete opposite, complete opposite, where they found facilities for me to go to, and they said, "We're willing to help in any way that you need."
It's such an important message, man. I think a lot of people need to hear that it's like it keeps people sick for so long, is how they're going to be perceived if they come out and tell the truth, right? There's such a stigma around it. And one of the reasons I started this podcast was to kind of, I don't think we'll ever break the stigma or but it's like, however I think it's going to go in my head, it never goes in any situation, right? It's my mind lies to me. My addiction lies to me and tells me it's going to be this way, and it never is. It's such an important message to get that out there, that it's like, there are people, you just don't see it. There are people that are willing to help you and do whatever it takes and come to bat, go to bat for you. But you won't know until you fucking ask, right? You won't know until you admit and get honest. Step one, it's like, I have a problem and I can't control it. My life is unmanageable. And what is it again? We came to our lives. Yeah, we can't control it. Our lives are unmanageable, and I need help, right? I can't do this on my own. So, I think that's a really big moment. So what was rehab like, going into rehab and then coming out, and what's life like today?
Yeah. So going into rehab, I remember being like, at that point, I was like extremely felt guilt that I'm leaving my family while my dad's in the hospital. And
meanwhile, they're like,
they're like, he's in the hospital. He's going to be here for a few months. He's getting the care. Like, all we can do is go visit him during visiting hours. And I there's enough people that are going to visit him where it's like, this is the time you need to go.
Yeah.
Like, this is when
Yeah.
you need to.
Yeah.
So I was very like upset with myself and really hard on myself for being there. And I remember the first day I walked in, and people are all outside under the gazebo and they're like, hi, hi. And this one guy just comes up and gives me the biggest hug and he goes, welcome home, bro. Welcome to the family. You're going to love yourself. And I looked at him and I was like, no fucking way. And I went into my room and stayed in my room because I was like, no. I'm like, no way. I'm like, this guy, I'm afraid of that guy. And like, I'm not going to love myself. You don't know what I've been through, you know? Like, so the first day I, was kind of in my room. And I remember the first night, the mattress, my back hurt and I was yelling at the nurses. I'm like, I need a firmer mattress if I'm going to be staying here for 45 days. I gotta, you know, can you get me a new mattress? And I'm just like out of my mind. Right. And then the next day I really was like, okay, let's go in. And every day was just like better and better once I started to go to the classes and once I got a primary counselor, it was for me like camp, man. Like I loved it. Like I loved all the people and the counselors, and it taught me a lot about how it is a disease. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know it was classified as a disease, and that, you know, if a lot of people have it and that there is a solution. And once, I cried a lot. Like I cried
Same.
a lot. Yeah. Especially once there are people that I like got close with. And when they were leaving, I would be the one like you go around and share, and I'd be the one who's an emotional wreck. For me, it was like an emotional purge of years because I couldn't be emotional prior to going to rehab.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was a lot of crying for me, but like for the most part, good tears of being like
necessary.
Yeah. Like I'm like, I wish this person well, and they helped me a lot. But I learned it's a disease that, you know, holding resentments like is really drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So I was able to like see, I guess my counselor showed me my part. And that was like a revelation for me of being like, oh my God, like I am judgmental. I am critical of other people. I am a people pleaser. I, you know, have carried these little things that happened to me in my life for decades and hung on to them. And I've been sick because I'm hanging on to things that now when I look at like those things that I was holding on to, I can be like, it's not mine to carry, you know, like that's not on me, you know, like I don't need to carry this anymore. I'm worthy, you know? And I remember there was a counselor that kind of was like, do you love yourself unconditionally? And I go, I don't have anything that I like about myself at all. And by the time that was like in week 1, and then by the time that I left after 45 days, I was like, I'm starting to like myself, you know, like starting, you know, working out, being nice to people, taking accountability, finding a higher power. Like I was introduced to meditation there. I had no concept of what a higher power was. So, you know, I thought I was like God before, not actually, but trying to play God was what I was trying to do, arrange everyone. And, you know, if people were fighting or their relationships, I'd just pick everything apart. And then it was just like radical acceptance of like, this is how people are. So there's a lot of sick people. You should probably pray for them as opposed to change them. Just pray for them.
That's a huge mindset shift, right? Like that's what recovery does is it shifts my perspective on it and my perception. And hey, maybe, like you said, maybe this isn't mine to carry. Maybe I have a part in this. Maybe they can live their life and be okay, and I can be okay. Like what a concept, right? They don't have to live according to my script. You said a lot of good stuff there. Did you have any moments, backtracking a bit, where you came close to, I don't know, some really risky situations where you like were like, well, that was close, and then you kind of got out of it, or was it like, what was that like?
Like post rehab?
No, before, like in your addiction, if we
Oh,
look
close
back.
calls?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um like honestly, I drank and drove for 2 decades.
Mm,
So putting myself at risk with that for sure. I got one DUI where I don't remember leaving the bar. Apparently, a couple video recorded me from when I got in my car because I
mm,
guess was staggering.
yeah.
And then I somehow ended up in my, I had a townhouse at that time. I ended up parked, passed out, and the cop, I woke up to the cherries behind me and I had no idea of how I got there. Um, so I had to obviously go to court for that. Luckily, I didn't kill anyone. Like the fact that I didn't ever injure somebody or myself badly is God's doing,
Yeah.
because I definitely was behind the wheel a lot. That was the one that I had to tell my parents about. Outside of that, smashed a curb once, backed into a pole another time. Um, and then got another almost DUI where I was in the Warren range. Um, so a lot of
You mean on
the
the breathalyzer?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there was a lot, and I kept all those a secret, right? Because I could be like, oh, someone hit me. Oh, the car in front of me put their brake lights on.
Yeah.
So I would do these things, and I'm single and live by myself or whatever. So I was able to really like hide a
Yeah.
lot of my troubles and just like get away with them without taking any responsibility for them. But yeah, those probably the drinking and driving are where I really put the most people and myself at risk. Um, the most ironic story would be that I left work one day, and when I was working in Toronto at like 5 p.m. and I was sober, and I just left work, and I go around a corner and a guy comes flying around me, and I got T-boned by a drunk driver.
Oh, wow.
All airbags go off, full like I luckily only got whiplash out of it, but
Jesus.
my car was totaled.
Yeah.
And I remember calling my family, and I'd been in so many car accidents before. They were at the cottage, and I'm like, "Hey, I got into an accident." They're like, "Was it your fault?" Was the first thing they
Yeah,
said.
sure. Yeah.
And when they said that, I got so mad that they I got so mad at them, and I held a huge resentment that they didn't ask if I was like okay, that they first were like, is it your fault?
Yeah.
And then, they didn't leave the cottage to come see me in the hospital. And I built this huge resentment towards them, even though, like, if you play the tape back,
Yeah.
every time it was my fault, every time I had been in trouble,
Yeah.
And the next day I got a rental car, and they're at the cottage. So I'm in town by myself, and I go to the bar at 11 a.m. and I get blackout drunk with the bartender, just me and her. And the day after I get T-boned by a drunk driver, I back the rental car up into a pole and cause $5,000 worth of damage.
Yeah.
Drive the car back, park it underground, pass out. Next morning I wake up. That was the first time that I had any recollection that I did that.
That's addiction, man. Like right there. I mean, that's alcoholism. That's addiction right there. Despite adverse consequences, I'm still going, right? No matter what. And yeah, I can relate to that. Like, fuck them. I'm gonna show them, right? I'm gonna go and get nice and drunk and high, and I'm gonna show them. When meanwhile, my therapist always used to say this. It's like the only person you're saying fuck you to is yourself every time you do that, right? And I would use that as resentment too. It's like I'm gonna show them, like fuck them. I'll do whatever I want. And it's all this ego thing, right? Yeah, that's powerful, man. I truly believe that the universe, God, whatever higher power you have, right? For me, I just call it God, but it's like, he's showing you, the universe is showing you these signs, right? And it's like to your point, you get into rehab and then you just have so much emotion because of all this stuff that has happened and occurred in your life. And you finally, rehab was really good for me too, because I was able to just have a different perspective on all the shit that I did, a sober perspective, a real perspective of
Mhm.
like, damn, I was a tornado, man. And like, my parents, they had so many sleepless nights, right? So, when your parents answer the phone like that, my first thought is like, yeah, no, like, I completely get that, right?
Yeah.
You put us through all this, like, that would be my first question too, right? But yeah, I think it's a very important, like, that is alcoholism, that is addiction. Is like, I don't have a choice anymore in the matter, right? This is not a thing of willpower. This is a disease. It's progressive and it's fatal, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm really glad that you got into recovery, man. We need more people. We need more. There's a lot of people suffering out there. So, um, what is faith, spirituality, God? What does that look like to you today?
Yeah, I say the word God because it's easy, right? But for me, um, I always like enjoyed nature. Like, so at first when they were like introduced into the 12 step, like you need to find some sort of higher power and like you can be whatever you want it to be. So I first was just kind of like the, spirits of the universe
Mm.
was kind of what I thought about. And,
Great outdoors.
yeah,
Yeah.
the outdoors was always somewhere where like I would find peace and tranquility. Like if I'm in the middle of, take a canoe out to the middle of the
Mm.
lake and sit and just look at the reflections off the water and trees or whatever. So that's how I first like was like, okay. And then I started to go to the meditations. Um, and during meditation, I like created a good bond with the instructor at the rehab who was leading it. And I really like took his suggestions. And I remember the first few times, I was like, okay, well, my mind like was still racing kind of like I couldn't really totally settle in, but I'm like, it was a good thing to do. Just take a break from everything
Mm.
and sit and breathe. And then I remember it was like probably like fourth time that I did meditation. One of the clients was leaving the next day, and the instructor's like, if you have any, energy to pass on to this person, like try to send some energy. And I remember getting that like zing of energy up my spine, like goosebumps almost. Like sometimes when I used to like use, that
Mm.
feeling where you like that first little inkling of like, oh my gosh, there's something going on.
Mm.
And I felt that and I was like, whoa, I'm like, I've never felt that sober before. And that really was like my first sign that I was connecting to something
Mm.
bigger than myself. And it's like, I guess they call it like fission when you get like goosebumps or energy through your body. And after that point, I just embraced that. And at first, it was only through meditation that I would get those feelings. But then it was like when I hear a guest speaker and they say something, it shoots up in my
Mm.
spine.
Yes.
When I think, I'm around my family or whatever, and I see like a beautiful moment, I
Mm.
get these
The
things.
gratitude.
When,
Yeah.
yeah. And it started to become, it wasn't just in meditation anymore. It was like when something happens throughout the day, it could be anything, whether it's in nature, whether it's someone speaking, whether, it's someone's relapse story, whether now sober, like it happens all the time for me where that's how I feel. It's like there's something going on that is way, way bigger than me that I'll never know how to explain. I don't want to even try to explain
Yeah.
what my higher power is. All I know is that like I'm alive today because I feel the grace of God and that, I now have work to do that I want to do things for other people
Yeah.
because I was so self-centered and selfish, but he kept me alive. And now I don't, the stuff I felt shame and guilt about is like, I want to tell it so that it helps someone else.
Yeah.
So I really feel like even when I was bringing that up, I feel these
Yeah. Me
vibes.
too.
I feel
Yeah.
these vibes, and I am comfortable being like, I'll never have the capacity or the intelligence to be able to say what my higher power is. All I know is it isn't me, and it's out there, and it's keeping me sober.
Man, I love that. Yeah, you explained that really well. I hadn't heard it explained like that in a while. This sort of like the opposite of addiction is connection, they say. A lot of people say. I think Johan Hari was the first one to say that on a TED Talk. And I heard that in treatment, and it blew me away when I saw that TED Talk. But it's so true, man. Like, I'm so isolated for so long in my disease, and all I care about is pleasing Anthony. That's all I care about. Self-centered, selfish, like you said. And then I come into recovery and I start to feel this connection with a story, this connection with the universe, this connection with with nature. It's a beautiful thing, man, you know, but I have to be open to it and I have to do something about it, or else it just kind of, I don't even notice it sometimes, right? It'll just pass. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. What are some like daily essentials, must do's in recovery for you today to stay sober?
Yeah. So every morning when I wake up, a lot of the time when my eyes first open, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
why am I awake? Why didn't I sleep longer? I don't want to do anything. So it's immediately the step 3 for me is like, God, I'm Patty. I'm powerless to drugs, alcohol, women, money, everything. Basically, like, and I am life. I'm powerless to life. So please help me, show me the next right step, show me how to be of service to you and to others, and please help me stay sober today. Thank you. That is like how I have to start every morning, by turning my will and my life over every day.
Yeah.
And then I hop on like a morning meditation meeting, and that gets my day, regardless of how I wake up in the morning, because a lot of times it is that not pleased. It switches me. And by 9 a.m. every day, I'm like, okay, now I can set forth and go forward. I need to like every day is be a good human being. So, you know, for me, I find it's like, you know, saying hi to people on the elevator, or holding the door open, or, you know, just returning a shopping cart, or like just like small little acts of kindness for me is something that I want to do at all times. I want to talk to my mom every day as well. Like, we have like a group thread through my family that we text on, but I like want to talk to my mom because I probably caused her the most harm out of everyone. And our relationship's better. I usually am at a meeting every night, or I'm doing like sponsee. I have a sponsee now.
Nice.
So I'm taking them through the book
Service.
and then I now, like that I'm 10 months in, I started playing like a sport. So at night I gotta like either be on a team at a team meeting or being somebody's teammate, you know,
literally
so
the opposite of isolation.
Yeah. I gotta be connected some way, shape or form. The essentials are making recovery first is my essential. You know, it's given me a life now that I have, but that is like pretty much my focus all day, is like, how can I live within these 12 steps, and how can I practice these 12 steps? And for me now, the 12th step is like my most important one, is like, I want to help. So I never thought that my story would be helpful to anyone. I figured it would have a tragic ending. That was my distorted thinking before. And now I feel like, you know, I've been around enough to be like, that my story could actually help someone.
Yeah. I love it, man. What does service do for you in terms of the one-on-one? Because honestly, bro, by far, that's still my favorite part of recovery, is taking another guy through the steps, through the book. What does it do for you?
Gets me out of my head, because during like rehab, you're programmed 24/7 basically. And I went to sober living for 3 months after rehab, where you're programmed a lot there as well. Yeah. And now I live on my own in an apartment. So, and I've had one job I got fired from, the other job I had to resign because it wasn't really safe anymore. So I've been in a flux of like, I have time. So I need to be of service, because like I can only do a meeting, go work out, you know, go to the pool for an hour, like
3 hours a day.
For me, it's like, it gets me out of my head, because my thinking still is insane. If I'm sitting there by myself, I can spin, I can be like, oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? You know, oh my God, I made a mistake here. I should sit in self-pity and, you know, eat junk food the rest of the day and not talk to anyone. So for me, it gives me purpose. It's like, I need service so that I get out of my head and that I can go see other people and build some self-worth back into my life and realize that I'm not alone. So when we were in sober living, they like be of service, be of service, be of service. We're like, I have 2 months. I'm like, you can't be of service at a home group till you're a year, right? Like, so we just thought of ways that we could go and do stuff, and we kind of like took it upon ourselves to just like go down and do stuff for people who are living on the streets. And for me, I love it, man. Like it's my favorite part of the program is volunteering or being going to my home group and setting up the chairs and, you know, like seeing other people who have years of addiction and being able to talk to them. Like they're being of service is like me being of service. People are being service to me. Yeah. So it's like a total cycle of like, it's not just me going to help. I'm actually being helped for sure.
Yeah. I always say it's like the pyramid scheme without the scheme, right? Like the recovery, you know, meetings, all that stuff. It's like this beautiful pyramid scheme that there's no catch, right? It's like people, they want to do things to help you, but also it helps them. And it's this beautiful sort of give and take, like cycle that, like you said. I love that, man. What's something that you've been recently working on personally, like something that you're trying to work on?
Letting go of outcomes.
Same. Yes.
Yeah. You know, like the whole, like putting your entire life into God's will. For me, like my defects of character will come up where it's like fear of being alone, financial insecurity. Yeah. So, you know, not obsessing over what job is going to make me the money or what job do I need to get, and really just being like, you know what, let go of all that stuff. Just stick in the middle of the 12-step program and you will be rewarded. So like really what I've been working on through this like transition of job is doing more within the 12 steps because the promises come true if I actually do what I'm supposed to do, which is, you know, be right in the middle of that. And that's why like I went on the retreat. That's why, you know, I don't say no when I'm asked to do something. And yeah, it just gives me the purpose. But yeah, really letting go of outcomes completely is what I'm trying to work on, because I don't know how to do a lot of things without that payoff, right? Like without knowing there's a payoff. Yeah. Like for instance, if I were like back in the day, like I'm not dating anyone, but back in the day, it's like, well, I'm only going to go out with her after this, you know, like if I know that we're going to be a thing or I'm going to get something out of it. And now it's like just speaking to girls as friends is a new thing for me. Yeah. I don't know how. It's like just talking to people without any expectation or any outcome. And same with like going and trying something new and having no idea how to do it or what it is. Like this, I've never done a podcast. It's like, well, just go and talk. Like just go. And so just showing up and really trying to be a helpful and realizing that everything that is supposed to happen will happen if you live within, you know, the 12 steps and being a good human being, then God will take care of you. Yeah. So letting go of all that has been what I'm working on.
I agree, man. I'm struggling with that too, but it's also like, you know, the 12 steps and the 12 principles behind them too is so important, right? Because in my daily life, if I'm honesty, hope, faith, brotherly love, service, humility, like all these things, if I'm just trying my best, I'm not going to be perfect. It's progress, not perfection. Mm-hmm. We are not saints, right? If I constantly practice that, things are going to work out, you know. They might not work out on my time. They might not work out the way I wanted them to work out, but invariably every single time I'm going to find out, just like the book says, that what I wanted, what I needed was what I wanted the whole time, right? So what I actually needed is what I really wanted the whole time, right? I think I want this. I think I want 10,000 followers on Instagram. I
Yeah.
think I want my podcast to blow up and make money. But at the end of the day, it's like, no, dude, you get to fucking sit down for 2 hours out of the day with a really cool person in recovery every single time, talk recovery, talk hope, talk faith, and maybe help one person. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? What a beautiful thing in and of itself. Shut up.
Yeah.
Just be grateful, right? Like just be grateful that you get to do that and you learned how to do all this stuff. And like things have been happening where it's like, yeah, I get like messages from people that I don't even know sometimes. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I didn't think that that podcast, that thing, I didn't think that was helping it. Like, I thought that was shit. I didn't think that
Hmm.
helped anybody. I didn't think there was any message of hope, recovery or hope or faith in that. And then it's like, somebody messages me and I'm like, man, I never realized that I did this or that, or thank you. And I'm just like, oh yeah, you did your job, right? Like you did your service for today.
Yeah. Yeah. It was always like, you know, oh, I had it. Now I lost it.
Yeah,
Sorry, live people.
that happens,
Oh,
happens to
good
me.
thing we're not live.
It happens to me all the time, dude.
But it was always like, for me, it couldn't be about me. It was like, okay, well, you can come to me and you can buy drugs from me, or, I'll be able to serve you at the bar, or I always thought of myself having to have something for someone to like get value out of me. Like I needed to have something else other than my own self. It was like, there's no way that anyone wants to hear from me about like the truth of my life.
Yeah.
It was like always some sort of external thing that it was like, okay, I need validation. It's like, yes, you can use me for these things. But it wasn't until I guess I like shared my story the first time I like guest spoke at one of the meetings. And then afterwards, like people asked me for my number and were like, you helped me. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then for me, I'm like, all that stuff I went through is worth it. It's totally worth it. Because if I can help one person, then that's enough.
Yeah. I love it. What's the best piece of advice you got in early recovery or in recovery in general?
Think two things always stand out for me. My sponsor said, "Life's none of my business." Other people, that was something that I always really got caught up with, was how can I help other people or fix their problems, when it's like, I'm not a therapist. I'm not qualified. I don't have any idea.
God.
I'm not God, but I would try to do whatever I could to get them to act in the way that I wanted. So they'd be happy. So they'd be happy with me, so that they would like me.
Yeah.
But really, I didn't have any idea how to help anyone. So life's none of my business. Don't care, be helpful. And that has been really important, because you see that it's like a lot of people don't stay sober, right? A lot of people go out, and you got to try to be helpful for them. Be like, I will try to, show up for you or bring you coffee, or like, do you want to come to a meeting? But if they're not ready to come back, then you got to let it go.
Yeah.
And that's like new, because I would always like be too caring and be too involved, and I would just give up everything and go and be in addiction with someone to try. So don't care, be helpful. Life's none of my business. But the biggest one for me is page 417. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. And that radical acceptance of everyone else's life that's how they are, and I need to not try to change them. I need to figure out a way that I can be helpful or just be there.
Yeah.
Because I have to have that radical acceptance that it's like, I have no part in other people's business. So whatever they say, whatever they do, if it goes against how I think things should be, I need to be like, okay, either, stay out of it, don't pick a fight, or stay neutral, or just be like, I can understand how you feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's powerful. I think Alex Hormozy said it, but it just reminded me of when you were talking there. He always says when someone pisses him off or someone, does something that he doesn't agree with, or he just says, I say to myself now, they're simply not living the way I would prefer, in a way which I would prefer, right? They're not living in a way in which I would prefer, right? And it's so freeing to just think like that, And then when somebody doesn't like me, same thing. I'm not living in a way in which they prefer, right? And it's just like, it's such a little simple mindset shift where it's like, yeah, it's not up to me. I can't control them. And if they're happy and they're not hurting anyone, and either way, it's none of my business, to your point, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. That, and I'd say a better understanding of like the word empathy. To me, empathy was described when I was growing up was like, put yourself in someone else's shoes. And it's like, okay, I can do that. I hate them, but then,
because I hate myself. Yeah.
Empathy now, like the way it was explained to me is like, that is every experience and every point of that person's life from when they were a child through their growing up, through their relationships, through their whatever happened, trauma and things in their life. Like empathy is putting yourself in that person's life from start till now. And when I can do that with someone and look, and perhaps they say things that I don't agree with, but when I actually show that kind of empathy by starting from when they were born and taking into account all of the things that happened to them, I actually feel I can let the things go that bother me way easier and be like, that is how they are. They're not going to change. And I actually have like, it makes me feel like an asshole for like being judgmental of someone who is maybe sick as well, but there's a goddamn good reason that they are the way they are. And I don't, it allows me to really be more compassionate and empathetic towards other people. And that has been really helpful for me to be able to go back to that radical acceptance and be like, yeah, empathy is not just putting yourself in someone's shoes today. It's putting yourself into their life from start till now.
I love that. I've never heard that before. I love that. Yeah. Robin Williams always used to say, everybody is battling something you know nothing about, right? And it's true. I don't know the full story, so how can I assume anything? Love it. Okay, man. Fuck. Let's close with this. You had a lot of good things today. I learned a lot. Yeah. Did I do good? Do you like me?
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Subscribe, check, like, follow me on Instagram.
Smash the ego. Smash it.
What do you hope people get out of your story?
I hope that they can, I hope that it just might help somebody. But I hope that they can, I don't know. Oh man, good question. What do I hope?
I stole it from someone.
Yeah. I guess the main thing that I would hope, and I probably didn't really even express this, but like there's so much help. There is so much help and people willing to help that, you can change, like my thinking has done a complete 180 from less than a year ago till now. A year ago, I was, at home too scared to look up rehab places, but I knew I needed to go and there was just no way. And now it's like, I would recommend it to anyone. It's like, this is not, don't be ashamed, don't be ashamed if you have this disease that a lot of us have. It's okay. And there's a lot of people that can help. And I don't know, by me getting help, what you might be so ashamed of can probably allow you to actually help someone else.
Well said. Thanks so much,
Thanks.
Patty.
I have no idea.
I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks
Yeah,
for
you
coming
too,
down,
man.
man.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thanks for listening. Please help us grow the channel and like, share, and subscribe for more content. The discussions and stories shared on this podcast are for informational and motivational purposes only. This content is not a substitute for professional medical advice, addiction treatment, or therapy. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, please consult a licensed physician, addiction specialist, or mental health professional. You are no longer alone.